Yo, welcome to another video by Mike. In this video, we are going to build upon our last project that we worked on in the last video, which is the N+1 Laravel query problem. If you haven't watched that video, that's okay. I think you can go ahead and continue with this video. Basically, we are building upon the application we built last video, but it's nothing really special. It's really simple. So we have a user and then we have a post, and then a user can have many posts, and a post belongs to a user. This is the basic relationship, which reminds me, actually, I did not add that relationship. Oh, I did. Okay. So basically, a user has many posts, and then a post belongs to a user. And in the last video, we simply did a welcome page that showed all of the posts, or looped through all of the posts, showed the post title, and then showed the user that it belongs to. So this is what it looks like, not slash users. It's just slash. So there we go. This is what we worked on. Of course, it doesn't look pretty, and we don't care, right? We're here to understand the backend. So in today's video, we are going to discuss the withCount in Laravel and how it helps us solve a common problem to the N+1 query, but on a slightly smaller scale. So basically, our goal or objective for this video is to load or to have a page that shows all of the users and then the count of the posts that they have available. And then at the end of the video, there will be an extra advanced tip that you could use if you have a more complex situation similar to user and posts. So let's get started. I like to explain everything as I go along. I like to keep things pretty simple. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you, Copilot. This is exactly what I need. So what we're doing here is I'm basically having a route that goes to slash users, and then I'm loading the user with the posts. So I'm eager loading. I'm leveraging what we learned in the previous video. Again, I really recommend that you should watch it if you did not. And then I'm getting all of the users, and then I'm passing it to a view called users. But I don't have that view yet, so let's copy or duplicate our welcome. I'm gonna call it users.blade. And then let's just edit a few things here. So this will be users, this will be all users, update that to users, and then the post, this will be a user, but then I'm not going to get its title. I'm going to get the user's name, and then posts count is going to be user posts, and then I'm going to call the count method, right? So if I go to slash users now, you will see that we have Travis Hill has 11 posts, and then everyone else has 1 post, which is fine. So if you don't know where this came from, I have a post seeder that basically runs creates 10 posts for every single user. Now, why Travis has 11 posts? Because I had in the older version, I had this as well in the factory, which basically create 10 posts for the user with ID 1, which in this case was Travis. So that's why I have 11 posts for Travis. And that's okay. I guess we can just leave it the way it is right now. Actually, I could bring back this code so it matches what we currently have. Okay, so what's the problem here? If we go back to our Laravel debug bar, again, I talked about this in detail in the previous video, Laravel N+1 query. In the queries, you can see that we are selecting star from posts where the posts that user ID is in this or in these IDs. So this is optimized and it looks good, but we can actually optimize this further. If you'll notice that we're only getting the count of the posts, we're not actually using any data on the post. You will notice 2 problems here. 1, we're doing a full query just to get all the posts. 2, we are selecting everything from the posts, which is the exact same problem that we talked about in the N+1 video. And we're selecting everything in the posts and we're putting it in memory. Now imagine these posts are gonna have like description, which could be HTML or Markdown. So there's a lot of content and you're loading all of that and you're putting it into memory. That is very inefficient. Okay, how do we solve this? Actually, Laravel provides a really good helper, which is called withCount. And then withCount, I could add posts here. So what withCount is going to do is, it's going to add a property called posts_count. Now, because the relationship is called posts, it's going to be posts, or whatever the relationship name is, _count. What this is going to do is, let's see, instead of using that on the user, I can just access it like that, refresh, and then we get the exact same thing. But notice here what happened. We basically selected the count for the posts or posts count as a subquery to the original select user star count or select user star query, I mean. So this did two things. It saved us a query, so we reduced our queries by 1. 2, it's only selected the count of the posts instead of selecting everything in the post and saving it into memory, which is much more efficient. So here we did two what do we call it, two optimizations. 1, we reduced the queries by 1. 2, we only selected the count instead of selecting every single column on the posts table. Pretty good? Yeah, this is pretty good so far. So if you have a similar situation, you now know what to do. Do not fall in the N+1 problem. You should always eager load your relationships. 2, if you want only counts, use the withCount relationship, or sorry, helper method. So we came here, you watched all of this, you are here in the video. Time to talk about the little advanced step that I showed you, or I talked to you about. Imagine that we only want to select active posts or posts that are published. So let's imagine that. Actually, let's not imagine. Let's go to create posts table. Now I'm going to add it to the same migration here since we're in development and this is a small application. But if this was a real application that was live, I would probably create a new migration just to add that column. But since we're here, we don't care that much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a boolean that is called published, and then I'm going to default it to false. Thank you, Copilot, for completing my code. You're saving me a lot of time. So since we have this published, it defaults to false. What I'm going to do is, actually we should just default it to true, yeah? Then I'm going to go to the posts header, and I'm going to add to the factory, I'm going to add 5, and then published is going to be false. So notice here, for the user ID 1, you have 11 posts, and then 5 more that are unpublished. So in total, they have 16 posts, but 5 of them are unpublished. Keep that in mind. Let's run our migration. I think I have a shortcut called MFS. Yeah, so what this does is migrate, fresh, and seed. So this is basically shortcut for PHP artisan migrate, fresh, -- seed. Yeah, so this is, I have a shortcut for that since I run that a lot of time. Next, let's go back to our users and then we give it a refresh. Of course, it doesn't work because we're not serving the project. Now it does. We give it a refresh and now you see we have 16 posts. Okay, this is fine and this is very expected. We are pretty good. We are optimized. Yeah, okay, let's get to the fun stuff now. I only want to get the count for the published posts. How can we do that? I'm going to pass in an array to the withCount, and then I'm going to add a function to that as the value to that key. So in this array to the withCount, I'm going to add a key, which is the relationship name, and then the value I'm going to append a function which has the query where published is true. What this is going to do is it's going to select a count for posts only for the published posts. If I go back to our, where am I? If I go back to our application here, I give it a refresh and you'll notice that we have the exact same thing with the counts, but you'll notice that the post count here is 11 instead of 16. And if you look at the query, you can see that select count from posts where the posts where the user ID is the post user ID and published is 1. So now you see we are getting more complex with the query here. So we have full control over the subquery that Laravel is going to run for this withCount. Now, as you saw in GitHub Copilot auto completion, we can actually rename the output column. So I could say posts as xCount for some reason. And what this is going to do is, of course, it's going to throw an error now, or not throw an error, but it's not going to show anything because we are selecting the count as xCount. So to fix that, I need to go back to users and then it's going to be called xCount. So for whatever reason you want to override default Laravel or like naming conventions, you can do that in the key of the array that you're passing to the withCount. But I'm going to delete that because it doesn't make sense here, and then I'm going to bring this back, reload. Everything is working fine. Now imagine if you wanted to do where published true, and for example it's published today. So what we could do is where created ad is greater than or equal to now subday 30, which is also going to get us 11 because all of our posts were created today. But you get the idea. We can keep chaining, and if you look at the query now, we can keep chaining wheres and doing more complex stuff. Anything that ORM, or like Laravel's Eloquent ORM, allows you to do, you can just keep doing in the withCount subquery. So this is it for this video. Thank you for sticking this long. Give me feedback in the comments, see if you like the video, like, subscribe, give me some constructive criticism. I'm always open for that. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.